I'm Mr. Bucket. We're all gonna run. I'm Mr. Bucket.
Yeah.
The game's Mr. Bucket.
I gotta get me one of those.
Mr. Bucket wins, but look out, because the balls will pop out of his mouth.
Obamacare. Obamacare.
Hi, sir. We can see that you're home.
Obamacare. Affordable health care at your doorstep.
Not interested. I can see him. He's coming to the door.
What the? Come on, you guys serious?
Get on the ground! Oh! Ow! Oh, what is this?
The time has come, sir. You have to sign up for Obamacare.
Obamacare? What?
You don't have a choice, sir.
What if I don't do it?
You will be penalized.
Penalized?
Fine.
Money.
You have to pay for it.
Sign up, sir.
All right. Just get off of me and I'll sign.
Get up.
Ow!
So you're literally forcing me to sign up for Obamacare.
It's for your own good, sir.
I thought this was a free country. Ah! Oh, come on!
Freedom isn't free, sir.
All right, I'll sign.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah, we already have a form made up for you guys to see.
Username, password.
Just plug in some information for us. You'll be good to go.
No.
What do you mean no?
Yeah,
No, I can't. It says the system's down at the moment.
No, it's very easy to navigate.
System is down at the moment. We're working to resolve the issue as soon as possible.
Oh,
Please try again
son,
later.
it's happening again. Son, this stupid website.
Do you have a contract?
We're trying to go green, but here is our paper contract. You can even use his pen.
I'll take that.
So that's your use it back, here's your support. Yeah, sign here, initial here, signature here, and you can flip it. Well, there's maiden name up there on the next page. Yeah, the next page. High school mascot. Yeah. And that's good. You are good to go. Alright, here, sign, right here, sign that. This is my pen, this is my pen. Who are you supposed to have? This is fine, I'll take it. You sign this, make sure the contract. I'll put that right there. Everything in order? Yeah, sure.
Now that everything's in order, guys, is it okay? Can you just leave me the hell alone now, guys?
Whoa, hey, did we say you could stand up?
I thought we were done.
Have you paid us yet? This is affordable health care, not free health care. Come on. Can you read?
Rookie mistakes.
This is too much.
Yeah, come on, pony up the cash, buddy.
Too much, man.
It's not a
My wallet's stuck. Hold on. Do you take debit card?
Yeah, we actually prefer that.
I don't have cash.
There is a 35-cent transaction fee.
All right, looks good. Thank you, sir.
Great, and here, oh, that's
Take that.
your
Thank
gun. And you have yourself an Obama day. Let's get out of here.
And you two can go fuck yourselves and fuck the government.
Shoot in the balls. Just two shots. One for each ball. There.
We got both nuts. We're out of here. On to the next door.
I'm Mr. Bucket. Toss your balls in my top. I'm Mr. Bucket. Out of my mouth I will pop. I'm Mr. Bucket. We're all gonna run. I'm Mr. Bucket. The game's Mr. Bucket. The first to get their balls into Mr. Bucket wins, but look out, because the balls will pop out of his mouth.
Obamacare.
One of her passions, public service work, led her to leave what could have been a lucrative career in law for public service. But making lots of money was never her goal. Within months after her husband was sworn in as U.S. Senator, Michelle Obama received a pay increase of $195,000 from the not-for-profit hospital where she works. At the same time, she was put on the board of directors of Treehouse and Bay Valley Foods, where between her compensation as a part-time director and profits from her stock options have put another $100,000 into her pockets. Barack Obama tells us he's fighting to make health care more affordable. He didn't tell us that his wife is one of 13 vice presidents at a not-for-profit hospital that in 2005 reported earnings of over $100 million, in part by charging uninsured minorities 3.5 times as much as whites with insurance for the exact same care. In July of 2006, Senator Obama told a group of college activists, "You'll have boundless opportunities when you graduate, and it's very easy to just take that diploma, forget about all this progressive politics stuff, and go chasing after the big house and the large salary." What he told the Chicago Sun-Times only after an embarrassing investigation into the purchase of his stately $1.65 million mansion. U.S. Senator Barack Obama expressed regret late Friday for his 2005 land purchase from now indicted political fundraiser Antoine Tony Rezko. He tells a union group that opposes the amount of compensation paid to the CEO of Walmart that there is a moral responsibility to stand up and fight for a better economic future with adequate wages, health care, and retirement benefits. In 2005, the CEO of Walmart received $10.5 million in total compensation. What he didn't tell the union members was in that same year, the CEO of Treehouse Foods received $26 million in total compensation, a company whose revenues were 409 times less than Walmart's. Maybe because he's embarrassed over the fact his wife sits on the board of directors of Treehouse Foods, a company that shut a plant in 2006, which was staffed primarily by low-paid Hispanics. In Iowa recently, Senator Barack Obama denounced the pain that is caused by outrageous health care bills, saying, "We are not a country that rewards hard work and perseverance with bankruptcies and foreclosures." This is not the first time Senator Obama has talked passionately about the threat to people who cannot afford to pay outrageous health care bills. In 2005, he said, "Hospitals terrorize the uninsured." On this issue alone, Barack Obama could have made a difference, but instead, he chose to stand by silently as many not-for-profit hospitals, including his own, made huge profits by price gouging the uninsured. Over the past 2 years, his hospital, the University of Chicago Hospitals, has spent over $10 million on collection fees in an attempt to terrorize people, many who are uninsured, into paying bills that have been marked up far beyond cost. That's right, when it comes to the uninsured, this hospital marks up their actual costs by 350%. And this is one of the few hospitals left in the entire country that refuses to provide a discount to the uninsured. How easy it would have been for Barack Obama to get that policy changed, which would have made health care more affordable immediately for hundreds, if not thousands, of his neighbors. Allowing this immoral practice to continue has been very beneficial to this not-for-profit hospital, as in 2005, they reported making a record profit of over $100 million. A record that they are on pace to shatter this year. While Senator Obama has criticized, and rightfully so, the excessive profits being made by pharmaceutical companies and large insurance companies, he has done nothing about the excessive profits being made by not-for-profit hospitals by their price-gouging uninsured patients. While he is a critic of excessive CEO compensation, he did nothing when the former CEO of his hospital walked out the door with over $4.58 million in compensation. When his fellow Democrat, the Attorney General of Illinois, demanded hospitals like this one provide more charity care, he did nothing. Maybe, just maybe, the fact that this hospital that employs his wife used some of those obscene profits to increase his wife's total compensation by almost $200,000 a year shortly after he was sworn in has something to do with his lack of any real effort on behalf of the uninsured. Or maybe he's done nothing about these abuses because the executives at this hospital have provided him with over $100,000 in campaign contributions over the past few years. Whatever the reason, the fact is, while he continues to speak about the need for affordable health care, he has done absolutely nothing to make it more so. Confucius said that the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Barack Obama's journey toward actually making health care more affordable will begin when he takes a step down the street to the hospital where his wife works and demands that they stop terrorizing the uninsured and instead treat them with respect.
Tonight I say to the people of America, to Democrats and Republicans and independents across this great land, enough! It's time for us to change America. People of Berlin and people of the world, we are heirs to a struggle for freedom. Let us remember this history and answer our destiny and remake the world once again. Thank you, Berlin. Thank you, Berlin. Thank you, Berlin. Thank you.
New York columnist George Will pointed out that modern Berlin rose from rubble that was the result of the last attempt at remaking the world. The world has had enough of charismatic speakers who hid their real agenda until it was too late.
Well, there you go, Dennis. Where? Hey, how are you? I want to thank...
Christian God is the one and only true living God, the creator of heaven and the universe. Jesus Christ is God. Jesus Christ is God. Jesus Christ is the Son of God. Jesus Christ is the Son of God.
I agree.
You are anti-Christ because you said, "Free world and the
Is that his jacket? Is that his jacket? Is that his jacket? First of all, I agree Jesus Christ is the Lord. I believe in that. I do have a question. I think the young man may have left his jacket. So make sure that he gets his jacket. Oh, that's yours. Hold on. It's hers. And I think somebody's car keys are in there too. See, we're having all kinds of confusion here.
that we here highly resolve these dead shall not have died in vain, that the nation shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth.
This nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom.
This nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom.
This nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom.
This nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom.
This nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom.
This nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom.
This nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom.
That this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom.
That the nation shall have a new birth of freedom.
So, why did this happen? Our senior correspondent, John Miller, is with us. He's the former head of counterterrorism for the LAPD. John, what have you learned about the suspect?
He is Paul Anthony Ciancia. He walks into the terminal. He's got the gun in a garment bag. He takes the rifle out. He opens fire. Shoots his way through the checkpoint, going down a side, coming around the back, and he's focused on the TSA agents. Inside the bag, we are told investigators came up with notes saying that the TSA were fascists and pigs, anti-American rantings, anti-TSA rantings, and references to the New World Order, which is kind of a growing conspiracy group that believes the world is going to be taken over by forces in black helicopters and so on.
First up, it's all eyes on the sky. Live pictures now from Phoenix. For the second night in a row, military training exercises are underway around the valley. And within the last half hour, the Phoenix Police Department has confirmed to 3TV that they are supporting Department of Defense training around the city. There have been a lot of helicopters seen all across the valley tonight.
Our own Bruce Hafner has reported seeing military helicopters flying low over the Scottsdale area.
Dan Bongino, running for Congress in Maryland. And not because you want to, but because of the things that you've seen and the things that you know. Tell me what you think is happening with the government is being used as a weapon to destroy people right now.
Yeah, we're at a very dangerous point, Glenn, and thank you for having me. It's always an honor. It's been a while, so it's great to see you, and congrats on everything with the Blaze. It's just taken off.
Please, thank you.
Yeah, we're in a lot of trouble. The president sees government, I think it's because of his lack of experience and maybe community organizing in the past, as like this shiny new toy, which for all the disagreements I had with Clinton, Carter, and Bush, there were always limits. There was that line you just didn't cross. We cross it seemingly every day,
Every
Glenn.
day.
We're lost in the scandals. The Jamie Dimon shakedown at Chase, the HHS scandal, Kathleen Sebelius shaking down the healthcare industry for money, the IRS. It's to the point, Glenn, where these scandals in and of themselves would be huge, back-breaking scandals, are just lost in the scandal fog in this administration. It's worse than people know. I'm not trying to scare you either.
Tell me about the NSA. But with knowing you are Secret Service, so knowing what you know, tell me what we should be concerned about.
You give the government information, it will be abused. It is not a matter of if it'll be abused. Keep in mind, it's only a matter of when. But the bottom line is, having worked inside the government, it will be abused. It is only a matter of time.
So what should we be doing? Because we ring the bell, we talk about it, we look at it, but it's not going, it's just not, doesn't seem like it's going anywhere, Dan.
No, it's not. And the reason is, as I said, that with the Obama administration, that they're experts in losing you in the fog of scandal. This NSA thing is a back-breaking story. It really is. It gets at the very roots, I'm looking at your roots there in the grass, the roots of what liberty means. That flag means something. It's undermining the very principles by which made this country great. I know you're a believer. I'm a Christian. Jesus Christ, as far as I know, was the only perfect human being to ever plant his feet on this earth. We are all doing something wrong. Remember, when the key's held by someone else, liberty means absolutely nothing. That personal and private self are being evaporated.
200 military leaders out of their posts since President Obama took office. Why are we seeing this purge of some of our greatest leaders, and what effect will this have on our national security?
A lot of these guys disagree professionally with the White House, and as a result,
they're getting fired. Georgia restaurant owner who proudly makes it his mission to honor those who have served our country, now facing a fight over a U.S. flag that he flies at his establishment. Darren Miller says he was cited by the city for showing his appreciation to the troops.
The city now, where it was a violation of in the right-of-way, now they're backpedaling a little bit, saying now it's a permit issue. And I just don't think I should have to pay money to fly the American flag or support our men and women in uniform.
Yeah.
And I refuse to.
Absolutely right. Dean, what do you think this says about our country that you weren't able to fly your flags?
Well, I think, it's a shame.
Should high school students say the Pledge of Allegiance before class? Well, according to the school district, no. Last night, they voted down a proposal that would require the teenagers to recite the pledge every day. The reason? Board members decided there's not enough time during the day to say it.
We felt that we wanted to make it clear that at the high school level, we do not, there's not always an opportunity to have the Pledge of Allegiance spoken every day.
This is why people don't understand what we're fighting for. When we talk about current events and we talk about these issues and what we're looking to preserve, they can't tell you because they can't even recite the Pledge of Allegiance.
Proud of his 20-year military service and his 10 years of work at Dameron Hospital, Boots Hawks says he's not afraid of expressing his beliefs.
I believe in America and I believe in God so strongly, and I believe that America needs a blessing.
The phrase, "God bless America," has been in Hawks' work email signature for more than a year. But just days before Veterans Day, Hawks says the hospital asked him to remove it. He says he did remove it before he sent another email. Yet the next day, he was called into the office.
I was going to be put on administrative leave immediately, and this was last Friday, right before the Veterans Day weekend.
In the end, Hawks just wants to be able to put "God bless America" back on his email signature.
Meanwhile, an American soldier fighting for faith after an army briefing slaps a hate group label on a well-established traditional Christian ministry.
That's right. The presentation linked the American Family Association to hate groups such as the Ku Klux Klan, neo-Nazis, Black Panthers, and the Nation of Islam.
The soldier was so enraged, the fearful punishment for his own Christian values, he reached out to our own Todd Starnes. Yeah, this happened out at Camp Shelby in Mississippi, and the soldier was part of 50 active duty and reservist troops that had to attend this mandatory session. And in this session, they certainly did label the American Family Association, which is a well-respected Christian ministry, as an example of a hate group. And the soldier snapped a photograph that he sent me showing the slideshow presentation, and also another briefing, and I believe this was in the Air Force, labeled Evangelical Christianity and Catholicism as examples of religious extremism. So there's something going on here. The Pentagon, we tried to talk to them. They told us we needed to talk to the Army. And at that point, the Army, it's been almost 24 hours and we still haven't heard back from them.
A U.S. soldier in our Army spoke out. He said this: "I had to show Americans what our soldiers are now being taught. I couldn't just let this one pass. I was completely taken back by this blatant attack, not only on the AFA, but Christians in our beliefs." Your thoughts on that?
Elizabeth, for the past 5 years under the Obama administration, we have seen a significant increase in anti-Christian rhetoric and activity in the military.
It all started with a traffic stop for speeding, but it quickly escalated into a very dangerous situation. In the end, a 14-year-old was charged with attacking a state trooper. His mother is facing felonies, and now there are questions about why one officer fired at a minivan full of children.
You're doing 71 back there on a 55, okay?
Oriana Farrell and a state police officer are arguing over a ticket just south of Taos.
I'll be right back. Go ahead and turn the vehicle off for me.
But as the cop walks off, Farrell does the opposite, pulling away instead. So he pulls her over again. The officer isn't too happy.
Get out of the vehicle. Get out of the vehicle right now.
You can see the officer try to pull Farrell out while the 5 kids inside scream. Finally, Farrell agrees to get out and talk, but the conversation doesn't last long.
Turn around and face your vehicle. Man, listen to me.
Farrell and the cops struggle as she tries to get back into the van. While that happens, the 14-year-old gets out again. And this time, he rushes the officer, trying to defend his mom. After a short tussle, the boy runs back into the minivan. The officer tries to get him out while backup arrives.
Open the door! Open the door!
Farrell starts to drive off while another officer fires at the minivan full of kids as young as 6.
What would you think if police pulled you over and asked for a DNA test? One woman says it happened to her and she called NBC5 to investigate the suspicious stop. NBC5's Scott Gordon has been looking into the roadblock in Fort Worth.
Kim Cope was on her lunch break Friday driving north on Beach when she came across two police cars with lights flashing.
Yeah, they were about right in here.
She says the uniformed officers directed her into this parking lot.
I gestured to the guy in front that I just wanted to go straight, but he wouldn't let me and forced me into a parking spot.
Once parked, she says she couldn't believe what she was asked next.
They were asking for cheek swabs. They would pay you $10 cash for that. They would also, if you let them take your blood, they would pay you $50 for that.
Or at the very least, she says, they wanted to test her breath for alcohol for free.
It just doesn't seem right that you would be forced off of the road when you're not doing anything wrong.
Federal agency confirms they're doing this in 30 cities across the country.
You can't just be pulled over randomly or for no reason.
But civil rights attorney Frank Colosi questions whether such stops are constitutional.
I don't know, it just doesn't seem right. It just doesn't seem right that they should be able to do any of it. I mean, if it's voluntary, it's voluntary. And again, none of it felt voluntary at all.
We should make it clear the people actually doing the survey were government contractors. The Federal Traffic Safety Administration did not respond to our specific questions.
After people get off a plane, the new airport exits are getting some strange looks. Some think they look like a science fiction intergalactic time machine.
I was expecting to get transported somewhere like on Star Trek. I thought, yeah, we finally got there.
Others were wondering if it was an X-ray chamber or might fill up with dollar bills like on a game show.
Yeah, it was odd. I'm like, where'd they come up with this? I'm not sure what it is.
Doors will open and close automatically.
The voice giving instructions is futuristic, but the new exit portals are just part of the Syracuse Airport's $60 million renovation. To keep the passenger area secure, passengers leaving enter the portal, wait for one door to close, and then the other one opens. The portal is one way. If anyone tries to get back into the secure area, the door automatically locks. Syracuse may be the first airport in New York State to have the new exit portals, but the airport commissioner says they will likely be showing up at airports around the country very soon.
Employees at this KFC in West Lafayette, Indiana no longer need a password to sign into their cash registers.
They come in and they put their finger on a fingerprint mechanism and it just automatically clocks them in.
Biometrics, once considered a far-fetched technology, is becoming an everyday reality. From signing onto your phone, accessing your bank account, to entering a secured room. Your unique features are the key to unlocking anything worth safeguarding.
Their own police department, they are the ones that call the shots. A city-state, Washington, D.C., that's what Barack Obama's over. That District of Columbia where they operate. 10 by 10 square miles. Are you following me? Yes. Are you following me? Yes. The second city-state is the City of London, and the third one is the Vatican. Listen to me. All America is the military branch of the Illuminati. That's all. The Vatican is the religious one. And London is the economic one. Are you following me? Yes. That's it. Plain and simple. This has to be the most powerful military on the face of the earth. It says it right. The United States of America and its military. That's the military branch. The financial system is in Britain. The Commonwealth Empire and the Roman Catholic Church is the Vatican. That's it. The 3 city-states. Nothing more, nothing less. You can shift some people around, some names around, but that's what it is. No sacred science, because all of the cities were built in oval shape, representing the black mother goddess, representing your womb. Are you following me? No more, not the Masonic order, and these brothers and sisters going through the oath, going through the rituals. Now all the cities are made in squares. Because these people are ruling now. Are you following me? And we have to understand that. Let me push forward. We're not going to talk about America for sale. You already know that. You know they're buying the bridges. They're buying the streets, toll booths, the borders. Are you following me? It's up for sale. Do you think Michelle Obama knows this? Being part of the Council on Foreign Relations, which is the Illuminati. They're going to start using food as a weapon. We already know that. No one in this room is going to end up with a house in it. You don't own it any of your damn way. Are you following me? You do not own your home. I'm going to say that again in English. You don't own it.
Property, you can't own property.
Slaves cannot own property. Sheeple cannot own property. Useless eaters cannot own property. And this is how they write you in. Are you following me? This is why she's throwing up the Baphomet symbol. On the cover of Vogue. We have to start looking into things instead of at them. Are you following me?
Yes. Sneaky devil.
How many people are familiar with the dress that she's wearing? And we're not going to belittle this or belabor it. Huh?
Illuminati.
See, they speak in this particular symbol kind of language. Alright? We have to become symbol literate in order to understand the language that they're speaking to one another. Are you following me? Yes. The dress that she's wearing is very eerily familiar to this particular spider. The black widow spider. What does the black widow spider do?
Kill the husband. Kill the mate.
Mates with the mate. And then will kill the mate and feed the mate to the damn children. Are you following me? Y'all better watch Michelle. So some people on the internet called me an idiot and a whole bunch of other cute little names. So I started tracking down the spider. In some very key points on the planet Earth, you'll find the black widow spider. We need to start asking our question, why and who are they talking to? Are you following me? They taught Barack Obama the language. And this is the language that they use to speak to one another. The unisex goat god, the Baphomet. Are you following me? Yes. This is why they have to give him the Nobel Peace Prize when he don't deserve it. Please tell me what did he do? These are his handlers. But someone controls them. Are you following me? You've heard of the big new Brzezinski, because the good doctor just mentioned them. Are you following me? We have to understand who the players are. These are the masterminds behind the change. So why is Jay-Z lining himself up with Barack Obama? Says he has Barack Obama on the text. Huh? These are the blue bloods. Are you following me? And the reason why they changed it to the digital frequency and they had to do it away with the universal analog frequency, simply because with the digital frequency, they can sell you a plasma TV and an HD TV and they can send you subliminal messages. Because it interacts with your melanin. Are you following me?
Mummification has some strange property that we have not been able to reproduce. Mummification saves a viable cell for cloning. And all my life, all my days, I knew this because I studied ancient astronauts and I believe in these ancient high technologies. And I knew there was something mysterious, and even Time Warner told me that they could clone mummies. Sure enough, they did. In 1985, a mummy was cloned. All right? So the fact that we can clone, or that mummies can be cloned, but at the same time, when we try to clone, or try to mummify, our mummies rot. We don't know the technology of the ancient Egyptians. We don't understand how it's possible to clone a mummy, or to make a mummy. So Lenin is rotting right now in the square, and they're having a big hoopla as to whether or not to actually bury him, because he's an icon of Russia. So that's going on right as we speak, and they're trying to decide whether or not to bury him. It is entirely possible that you can clone a mummy, and this particular bloodline of mummy seems to be very interesting and intriguing. once you realize, okay, so the titles that the Secret Service gave the first family, renegade, okay, the definition of renegade, to turn on your people, to turn on your friends, to be an apostate, to be a backstabber. This is what renegade is, the definition. Then we find Michelle Obama. Now, look at this. Okay, I did not manipulate that photo one bit. That is her high school image. This is the same woman, Queen T, that I'm discussing. And so I'm going to leave you with the concept that perhaps our leaders have cloned this ancient bloodline of mummies, of pharaonic bloodline, and brought them back to life as our first family.
Finally, the main entrance, which for people up there, when they did open all the way up. And this is actually was a mistake to find out that the entrance of the pyramid always has to be the north side. Is a tomb dated to 4,600 years ago, and the person who is buried here, his name is Kar, and his name is written hieroglyphic as Kar, and actually
that looks like me. Look at those ears.
And he was the overseer of the pyramid city of Cheops and Kefren and Menkaure. He was all
Another note, even the president can't go to Egypt without sightseeing. The president visited the Sultan Hassan Mosque, one of the largest in the Muslim world. And then it was on to the Great Pyramids, where the president had a rather personal interpretation of one of the hieroglyphics.
That looks like me. Look at those ears.
The president looking at the big ears on the hieroglyphic. His tour over, the president then flew on to Germany for World War II commemoration event.
We know it's declassified. The governments of the world have planned Project Bluebeam, fake alien landings to unify the planet. They are really hyping it now. They had another fake hoax again yesterday in the news, saying aliens were going to land yesterday. The Pentagon's promoting all this garbage. What's your view on that?
It's the same old story. They always said they would try something like this. They had a test run initially back in the days of, I think it was Orson Welles, who did the War of the Worlds on radio, and they used Princeton University Psychology Department with the Pentagon funding as well, and Rockefeller funding, to fool Americans, thinking this was a real invasion, to see how the public would react. So this is an old idea. They would scare the public enough about invasions would all come together under a common purpose to fight off an alien invasion, that kind of stuff. And of course, it's a great distraction as well. We know too that the UFO cover has been a fantastic cover, alien cover, rather than look at what they're building here. They've been building amazing equipment and flying machines here for over 50, 60 years, and it's covered up their tactics. I call it the flying saucers, what the real jet set are traveling about in these days. That's what it is.
Well, we know. I mean, we know they've suppressed a lot of technology, and that's been proven.
Alex, we have done experiments. We have our own data. We have experiments now from the Soviet Union. 30, 40 years when the Iron Curtain came down, you know, when Glasnost finally prevailed, a huge amount of stuff was declassified from the KGB as well. And we now have put this data together. We not only know what the physics is, we know what it can do, we know what it's based on, we know how to make it work. We've seen in our own experiments ample evidence. We've seen experiments across the American landscape and even in Europe that vindicate various parts of this. And the latest thing I'm working on, it looks like von Braun himself was deeply involved in some of this early physics experimentation. And we've got a paper trail now to what he found that was suppressed by NASA up to and including the current time frame, which allowed us to leapfrog the Russians and go to the moon with Apollo. It's a stunning documented.
But Richard, you think they're lying and suppressing things, and certainly they are, but then you believe the entire Apollo program. I mean, I believe we've gone to the moon and things are much more advanced than we know just because the evidence is there. And even mainline science says they're really 30 years ahead of what we're seeing on average. And then even now the exponential growth of things. But then you believe the official story about going to the moon.
It's not a matter of belief, it's a matter of data. You know, again, this is why if you really want to do this, you got to read the book. You have to read the book. That's why people write books, because you can't do it in an hour and a half.
No, I mean, I've read the book. I mean, I understand, but we're here still having a radio discussion about it.
Well, you got to look at the photographs. The photographs are downloadable from official NASA websites. In addition to Ken Johnston, we now have a bunch of hidden whistleblowers inside the agency who obviously have figured out that something is not, right.
Okay, well, we're going to do a part 2 on that, and we'll get into all the wild stuff, which, boy, I mean, if that's the case, they're leaking stuff and things like Total Recall.
Yes, of course. Total Recall, by the way, I had a good friend at Fox told me was stolen line for line almost from Monuments to Mars, my first book. And who was Arnie, really?
Richard C. Hoagland, we're having back up for 2 hours in the near future to really get into all the wild evidence he's got. I mean, NASA now basically has admitted they put red filters over the atmosphere to make it look red. They admit now the sky's blue. They found ice all over Mars. I mean, that's the admitted stuff is amazing. Why would they cover that up in the past and say, oh, we put a red filter on to make the contrast better for you, to play along with that? But imagine being members of the elite. They get to fight and jostle and always try to get to the next level of the pyramid, to find out more, to be explorers. It's the ultimate greediness by these people to wall off the general world from true knowledge. I mean, I want to teach people things. I want to learn things. I want to show people things. I guess they love hoarding all the secret knowledge because it gives them the power, but that's what Ray Kurzweil and all these futurists say. And then transhumanists, they say that they get to be the future, and basically we don't, because the elite's going to go forward into the future and the population isn't. We're going to be reduced down to nothing, the useless eaters. But big picture, Richard C. Hoagland.
Well, obviously this has been on my mind from the beginning when I started putting the dots together and realized there were 2 separate realities, actually more than 2, but, 2 will basically, suffice for now. And I've been trying to back-engineer what's the end game, what's the big picture. Well, one big picture is that the human race is much older and more extraordinary, astounding, astonishing than anyone has ever been allowed to believe, certainly in modern times. If you go to ancient texts, ancient wisdom, ancient documents, ancient sacred writings, you find ample evidence that the human race is millions and millions and millions of years old, and that we used to have an incredibly fabulous high-tech civilization that allowed human beings to live like gods. And then something happened. The fall, as we term it in the Western idiom, Genesis. And now we're basically living almost at a sustenance level. We're being told now that we have to, in the face of extraordinary physical crises of energy, the lifeblood of civilization, without which everybody becomes poor or dead quickly, we're told we have to drill for something which is ridiculous and primitive as oil.
When they have plenty of advanced technologies, they've admitted.
There's incredible advanced technology. So the end game, one of the end games, is if you control people's sustenance, if you control the energy in which they live, the resources which they utilize, and the information under which they operate, you control them totally. So one of the games is
and that's
control.
it. We're inside a bottle. We're inside a matrix, not an electronic matrix, but garbage being fed into our cerebral cortexes. And well, listen, I have to tell you, that's what all this fits into, and that's what my instincts and all of my larger knowledge tells me is that if you look at humans, we don't act or behave like anything we see Terran. To say we're connected to monkeys and chimpanzees and all the rest of it's a total joke. And then you do look at Mars and all the legends and the rest of it. It isn't Martians, folks. It's us. I mean, is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying. Now, you have titled one of your websites prisonplanet.com. I always thought to myself, what did Alex figure out that he realizes?
No, that's it. We're in a false reality. I just don't know what it is. building camps. I know they're poisoning us, dumbing us down, genetic engineering us down. That's all admitted. And I'm trying to branch out now and at least get people thinking about the next level, because all my instincts tell me there's just unbelievable, fabulous things being hidden from us.
Okay, number two, if you get that they're keeping all the good stuff for themselves, the reason is that if we got access to the good stuff, if we got access to the technologies, the energy, you know, we wouldn't be worried about $4, $5 a gallon gas or $10 a gallon gas. We would live like people are supposed to live, all 6 billion of us who could live lightly on the earth, Alex, with this technology.
And live longer, and live longer.
Absolutely, and better, and you know, you could live to 200-300 and have the virility of your 20s and 30s. There's extraordinary medical breakthroughs, there's extraordinary physics breakthroughs, technology breakthroughs, energy. It's all been kept away because they are supposed to have it, and we're not. So where's that dichotomy come from?
And by the way, folks, don't roll your eyes at all this. We know they're lying and suppressing. We're just trying to find out what it is. Think about it. We're already on a planet hurtling through space, all these wonders around you, and you've been taught it's bizarre to question, and that's because there's so many kooks in the alternative movement who do talk about ridiculous, Hollywood-style green men, instead of really looking at the shadow government and all these crazy secret societies that are admittedly running NASA and the shadow government. Okay.
The lie is different at every level.
The lie is different at every level, and we're trying to expand that and break through those different levels. Okay, Richard C. Hoagland, fire out the websites again.
EnterpriseMission.com and DarkMission.net.
We are keepers of the public trust. We should never forget that we are here as public servants, and public service is a privilege.
When we were colonists of the King of England, our economy was doing quite well. Many of the most successful business entrepreneurs actually came here in order to start businesses free from the regulations and taxes that had been imposed upon them in Great Britain. Soon the king and his ministers realized how well our forefathers were doing here, so they persuaded Parliament to begin to tax the colonists and to regulate them. Many industries here were sending tax dollars there, and eventually the British ministers in England were telling businessmen in the colonies how and with whom to do business. Everyone remembers the battle cry that the pamphleteers and editorial writers of the day used so effectively: taxation without representation is tyranny. So we fought a revolution. We won the revolution. We wrote a constitution. And in the Constitution, the framers wrote safeguards to assure that the new government here could not do to Americans what the British king and the Parliament had done to the colonists. British soldiers were authorized to write their own search warrants, for example. So the framers prohibited that in the Fourth Amendment, which states that only judges can issue search warrants, and they may only do so when the government presents evidence to them of a crime. Well, that hasn't worked out because the Patriot Act lets federal agents write their own search warrants. The Constitution protects businesses by prohibiting states from interfering with voluntary contracts between businesses and consumers. Well, that hasn't worked out because the states today tax almost every voluntary exchange we have. In some states, almost $1 of what you pay for a gallon of gas goes to the government. The Fifth Amendment prohibits the government from taking property without paying for it, just as the King and the Parliament had done. Well, that too hasn't worked out as planned because the feds take property from us almost every day. It's called income taxes. I think you get the point of this. The whole purpose of the Constitution was to assure that the government would respect individual liberty, that power would be separated between the states and the federal government, and the government would remain within the confines of the Constitution. Throughout history, the government has openly mocked the Constitution. Lincoln claimed he could violate parts of it in order to preserve other parts. Wilson said that somehow it gave him the power to tell folks how to live. FDR actually wrote laws himself and had them enforced, even though the Constitution only permits Congress to write laws. George W. Bush signed laws into existence, and in the act of signing them, said he never intended to enforce them. Yesterday, President Obama signed an executive order claiming the right to incarcerate persons in the Guantanamo Bay military prison for the rest of their natural lives, even after acquittal. After acquittal. Yes, you heard that correctly. Following upon what President Bush proclaimed, President Obama claimed the power to punish people even after a jury has found them not guilty. No Western government has ever claimed the power to do this. Not the King of England, not Hitler, not Stalin, not even the Russian and Chinese communists. Now, I realize that most Americans have little sympathy for those incarcerated at Gitmo. Most assume that because they're there, they must be guilty of something. But that view turns the Constitution on its head. When he was a senator and running for president, Barack Obama knew that and stated that the beauty of the Constitution is that it guarantees fairness to everyone. He was right. But as president, he wants to lock people up forever, even after a jury finds them not guilty. Why should you care about this? Because if the government gets away with it by demonizing these prisoners and making it the popular thing to happen, it might happen to you.
This draft executive order sounds like classic Obama administration politics. Georgia Congressman Jack Kingston is taking note of Obama's style.
I believe that this is an extremely political administration that does have that Rahm Emanuel Chicago backroom. This is the way we get it done, and if you're not with us, you're an enemy. That, you know, they've been known to have an enemies list.
While the Obama administration wins people over with a nice front, what goes on beneath that front is not so nice.
Obama has a very nice public persona, but the backside of this administration is very worrisome and very ugly.
Our presidents can now, on their own, order assassinations, including American citizens, operate secret military tribunals, engage in torture, enforce indefinite imprisonments without due process, order searches and seizures without proper warrants, gutting the Fourth Amendment, ignore the 60-day rule for reporting to the Congress the nature of any military operation as required by the War Powers Resolution, continue the Patriot Act abuses without oversight, wage war at will, treat all Americans as suspected terrorists at airports with TSA groping and nude X-raying.
Executive Order 10990 allows the government to take over all modes of transportation and control the highways and seaports. 10995 allows the government to seize and control the communications media. 10997 allows the government to take over all electrical power, gas, petroleum, fuels, and minerals. 10998 allows the government to seize all means of transportation, including personal cars, trucks, or vehicles of any kind. 10999 allows the government to take over all food resources and farms. Executive Order 11,000 allows the government to mobilize civilians into work brigades under government supervision. 11,001 allows the government to take over all health, education, and welfare functions. 11,002 designates the Postmaster General to operate a national registration of all persons. 11,003 allows the government to take over all airports and aircraft, including commercial aircraft. 11,004 allows the Housing and Finance Authority to relocate communities, build new housing with public funds, and designate areas to be abandoned. 11,005 allows the government to take over railroads, inland waterways, and public storage facilities. 11,921 gives the Federal Emergency Preparedness Agency the authority to take over all banking institutions in the United States. As we've just seen, there are laws on the books that make it perfectly legal for the United States government to suspend citizens' rights. However, if we look to the founding documents for guidance, we'll find that it's not our government that bestows these rights upon us in the first place. According to the founders, all of our rights are unalienable. So what does that mean? According to Webster's dictionary, the definition of unalienable is not capable of being transferred to another, or in layman's terms, non-negotiable, not to be forfeited, or birthright. How much plainer can it possibly be? Our founding documents tell us that these rights cannot be transferred or taken away by anyone, not by any person, not by any government. So if the government passes laws that violate the Constitution, how can they enforce those bad laws? It's very simple. We let them do it.
The whole premise of Guantanamo, promoted by Vice President Cheney, was that somehow the American system of justice was not up to the task of dealing with these terrorists. I fundamentally disagree with that. Now, do these folks deserve Miranda rights? Do they deserve to be treated like a shoplifter down the block? Of course not.
What do you do with those people?
Well, I think we're going to have to figure out a mechanism to make sure that they are not released and do us harm, but do so in a way that is consistent with both our traditions, sense of due process, international law.
Did you ever see the movie Minority Report? It was based on a Philip K. Dick short story. It came out in 2002. It starred Tom Cruise, remember? He played a police officer in something called the Department of Pre-Crime. Pre-crime is where people are arrested and incarcerated to prevent crimes that they have not yet committed.
Mr. Marks, by mandate of the District of Columbia Pre-Crime Division, I'm placing you under arrest for the future murder of Sarah Marks and Donald Dubin that was to take place today, April 22nd, at 0800 hours, 4 minutes. No, I didn't do anything.
You didn't do anything, but you're gonna. Future murder. Creepy, right? Putting somebody in jail not for what they've done, but for what you're very sure they're going to do?
There may be a number of people who cannot be prosecuted for past crimes. In some cases because evidence may be tainted, but who nonetheless pose a threat to the security of the United States.
We're not prosecuting them for past crimes, but we need to keep them in prison because of our expectation of their future crimes.
Al-Qaeda terrorists and their affiliates are at war with the United States, and those that we capture, like other prisoners of war, must be prevented from attacking us again.
Prevented. We will incarcerate people preventively. Preventive incarceration. Indefinite detention without trial. That's what this is. That's what President Obama proposed today, if you strip away the euphemisms. One civil liberties advocate told the New York Times today, quote, "We've known this was on the horizon for many years, but we were able to hold it off with George Bush. The idea that we might find ourselves fighting with the Obama administration over these powers is really stunning." And it is stunning, particularly to hear President Obama claim the power to keep people in prison indefinitely with no charges against them, no conviction, no sentence, just imprisonment. It's particularly stunning to hear him make that claim in the middle of a speech that was all about the rule of law.
But we must do so with an abiding confidence in the rule of law. Our government was defending positions that undermine the rule of law to ensure that they are in line with the rule of law.
How can a president speak the kind of poetry that President Obama does about the rule of law and call for the power to indefinitely, preventively imprison people because they might commit crimes in the future? How can those two things coexist in the same man, even in the same speech? Well, that brings us to the self-consciously awkward, embarrassing part of this speech today. After condemning the Bush administration for what he called their ad hoc legal strategy for trying to make things seem legal that patently weren't, this is what President Obama proposed.
My administration has begun to reshape the standards that apply to ensure that they are in line with the rule of law. We must have clear, defensible, and lawful standards for those who fall into this category. We must have a thorough process of periodic review so that any prolonged detention is carefully evaluated and justified. Our goal is to construct a legitimate legal framework for the remaining Guantanamo detainees that cannot be transferred. Our goal is not to avoid a legitimate legal framework. In our constitutional system, prolonged detention should not be the decision of any one man. If and when we determine that the United States must hold individuals to keep them from carrying out an act of war, we will do so within a system that involves judicial and congressional oversight. And so going forward, my administration will work with Congress to develop an appropriate legal regime so that our efforts are consistent with our values and our Constitution.
You'll construct a legal regime to make indefinite detention legal. You will, what does he say? Develop an appropriate legal regime. So you can construct a whole new system outside the courts, even outside the military commissions, so that you can indefinitely imprison people without charges. And you'll build that system from scratch. What's that somebody said about ad hoc legal strategies? Just for context here, in the United Kingdom, where there isn't even a Bill of Rights, there's been a major debate about whether people can be held in preventive detention. Former British Prime Minister Tony Blair wanted 3 months to be the outer limit for how long anyone could be held. There was a big political fight about it. Parliament ended up limiting that power to 28 days. 28 days is still the longest period of preventive detention that's allowed under law in any comparable democracy anywhere in the world. How long would President Obama's proposed preventive indefinite detention last? Well, he's not saying yet, but here's how he defines the threat that he says makes indefinite detention necessary.
Right now, in distant training camps and in crowded cities, there are people plotting to take American lives. That will be the case a year from now, 5 years from now, and in all probability 10 years from now.
10 years from now. So you could get arrested today and locked up without a trial, without being convicted, without being sentenced for, say, 10 years until the threat of your future criminal behavior passes. Prolonged detention, he's calling it. This was a beautiful speech from President Obama today with patriotic, moving, even poetic language about the rule of law and the Constitution, and one of the most radical proposals for defying the Constitution that we have ever heard made to the American people.
It's not about justice, it's not about agenda, it's not about mobilizing people, it's about dialing for corporate dollars. These two parties have sold the U.S. government and the American people to the highest bidders.
The executive order has been severely abused, and I think the best way to use an executive order, I believe it could be justified that you could use maybe a blanket executive order to repeal a bunch of executive orders.
To me, the biggest terror is
You'll find that they've also asked for the right to imprison farmers who wouldn't keep books as prescribed by the federal government. The Secretary of Agriculture asked for the right to seize farms through condemnation and resell them to other individuals. And contained in that same program was a provision that would have allowed the federal government to remove 2 million farmers from the soil.
If you live in the heartland of America, you have to listen up. While the nation was distracted with the Anthony Weiner drama, President Obama signed an executive order that will seize greater power over food, fiber, and energy in our vast countryside areas. The president created the White House Rural Council to, quote, make sure we're working across government to strengthen rural communities and promote economic growth. Sounds great, but get this. The council involves a long list of the most powerful people in America. Treasury Secretary Tim Geithner, the Defense Secretary's on it, Attorney General Eric Holder, even the head of Homeland Security, Janet Napolitano. Why would Homeland Security be involved in exerting power and influence over the heartland? Why would the Defense Department be involved in promoting economic growth? The plan calls for the federal government to control almost every aspect of rural America. It'll also, quote, identify and facilitate economic opportunities associated with energy development, outdoor recreation, and other conservation-related activities. Really? When did hunting and fishing become associated with conservation-related activities? And by the way, what does that mean? The aims of the White House Rural Development Plan sound eerily similar to a UN plan called Agenda 21, where a central planning agency would be responsible for oversight into all areas of our lives, a one world order. Sound familiar? Joining me now is radio host Ben Ferguson. Hey, Ben, President Reagan, 50 years ago, he started talking about this, and look what we got now. We have a White House Rural Council. Are you nervous about this?
Sure, and anybody that's in rural America should be worried about this, because what they're saying is we're going to look at what you're doing in your life, and if we seem that you're not somehow using your land to the advantage of the overall American people, then we may have some quote-unquote maybe strong suggestions for you. I mean, look at the people in Minot, North Dakota, for example, this week, who are having to deal with the government, and guess what? They didn't do it right with the levees there, so even when there's a place with a lot of people, they say, hey, why would I want the government telling me what to do with my farmland? Because that area there is massively involved with farm. What, are they going to walk in with the defense secretary and start telling them where they should farm, how they should farm, and what they should do with their land? I mean, this to me scares me.
Hey, Dr. Haldeman, what about it? Why the long list? I mean, if you go down the list, almost every department, I think every department in the White House is represented. Homeland Security, we talked about it, the EPA, the federal FCC. The FCC? Why the FCC and why so many important bigwigs from the White House?
Eric, I think that list means a lot. It means that President Obama is taking what is happening with the heartland, which is a lack of economic opportunity as we've shifted from a manufacturing sector culture to a service sector culture. The heartland, rural areas have been affected. He's putting all of his big guns on it. And give me a break. These people are not going to be sitting around at some conspiracy theory around a table plotting the takeover of the heartland. If you look at what the council does...
Then what's it for? Hang on, guys. What's it for then? I mean, really, it's overreaching. It's an overreach. I have a hunch that people in the heartland are going, we're doing just fine, thank you very much. Keep your grimy hands off us.
How is it an overreach? He is going to be putting money into...
It's the Defense Department.
The Defense Department, who knows how they'll be involved? It's everyone from a major cabinet focusing on the issues
Give me a favor. Give me a scenario.
Hold on. This is what happens when you have three remotes. Let's bring it around. Go ahead, Chris Plant. You're up.
Well, who knows how it's going to turn out, but it's good. It's real good. This is another demonstration of this administration's obsessive-compulsive government disorder. They've decided that government needs to seep in. And it's not just, you shouldn't just be worried if you're in the heartland. We should all be worried about this. This is government out of control. This is crazy. This is over the top. This is one of hundreds of sort of organizations and commissions and panels that this administration has created to wheedle their way into our lives on what kind of light bulbs we can use and how much broccoli we can eat and what we can drive and what our kids have to eat at school. And they're just seeking to control Tony, every area of our lives.
Certainly feels like overreach to me.
Not only overreach, Eric, I mean, it's so frightening. This is 16% of America, what's considered rural America, who basically is now going to have its entire livelihood run by government in Washington. Right. They're far away from Washington. They like it that way, is my guess. I think Mr. Ferguson certainly sounds like he's representing that point of view.
Ben? Yeah, I mean, you look at this. Give me one scenario where the Homeland Security, the Defense Department, and the Attorney General should be involved when it comes to economic development of rural America. I can't see where any scenario those three would fit in if this is truly about economic development in rural America.
Really? Office of Management and Budgets, Domestic Policy Council, National Econ... Small business, it just goes, it's wow, Doc, every department in the way.
Can one of you conspiracy theorists give me one good argument as to what's going to happen here? None of you have cited specifics about what this council will do.
It's a big one.
Please, give me something.
If you're going to ask a question, I'll answer it. I'll tell you exactly what this boils down to. You've got Washington, D.C. and the Obama administration wanting to look at how the land is used in rural America and see if somehow you're living up to their green standards and their economic conditions of, are you actually doing enough with your land and your property? There's a good scenario for you.
We're going to have to leave it there again. We're going to say thank you to Ben Ferguson. Up next, elected officials are real.
Talked about my Muslim faith, and you're absolutely...
I have been trying to get this man to become honest about his drug use since last fall, okay? I can't force him to stand up in front of the American people and say, hey, I'm a liar and I'm a drug user. Even more so, I can't force him to stand up today and tell people that he had another gay lover in Chicago that was murdered in December.
Are you talking about Senator Obama, that he had a homosexual relationship with somebody that was murdered in Chicago?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Wow. When did it happen?
Donald Young was murdered in December of 2007. And my attempts to contact the Chicago Police Department on information that links Senator Obama to this gentleman and his death have been ignored.
I'm making this video and posting it on YouTube because of an incident involving myself and Senator Barack Obama between November 3rd and November 8th of 1999 in the Chicago, Illinois area. The mainstream media and Obama himself has done greatly to prevent this story from becoming public. During those time periods in 1999, I met Obama at an upscale lounge in Chicago, Illinois. After having a few drinks, Obama and I left in my limo, began to drink. Mr. Obama acquired powder cocaine for my use, crack cocaine for his use. I performed oral sex on Senator Obama, who at the time was a state representative for the state of Illinois. Mr. Obama knows these allegations to be true. I'm challenging Mr. Obama to come forth, be honest, stop claiming that his drug use is limited to his teenage years. 1999, you weren't a teenager. 1999, you were a state representative for the people of the state of Illinois. 1999, I performed oral sex on you in the back of my limo, as well as in my hotel room in Gurnee, Illinois, 2 days later. If you challenge the authenticity of this allegation, I challenge you to take a polygraph test, as I will submit to as well. These allegations are true and need to be told to the public. Let the public decide whether Mr. Obama is being forthright and honest. Thank you.
The story has been suppressed, as you well know. The Globe, an American tabloid, has come out with its second edition on this story. The headline, Obama Caught Up in Gay Murder Probe. The story just got a lot bigger. Pastor James Manning has come forward and made allegations which back up Larry Sinclair's that Barack Obama is bisexual, homosexual, or gay, whatever your preference. Pastor Manning, thank you for being here. You are making statements here that, again, mirror and echo those of Larry Sinclair.
Absolutely. Well, let me say this. My statements are as solid as a rock. And at the opportune time, I will demonstrate them, as I did when I made statements regarding his mother and about himself and his father and what went on in that relationship when they first came together. And I also stated then that I would only make my proof of my statements available at the opportune time for several reasons. One is the Obama campaign is a very shrewd campaign, and they're able to circumvent you. If you put your information out, and if you're not fully protected with it, they know how, that David Axelrod and all that crowd knows exactly how to circumvent. And the Obama campaign also has absolute sway over the liberal media, so they know how to quash a story in a moment, the way they're doing with Larry Sinclair. The other item is that when I did put my statements out regarding his mother and that and how he came into being, about a month after I put my statements out, Time magazine came out with an article. I was right then, I'm right now. Jeremiah Wright is definitely a closet homosexual. There's no doubt about it. And Obama is as well, and Larry Sinclair will testify to that. But there are a whole lot of other folk in Trinity, United Church of Christ, and around Chicago that would testify to the fact that Obama is a homosexual, as you stated or introduced, as a bisexual, because he is married and obviously enjoys relationships with women as well. But my proof is as solid as a rock, and at the opportune time, I will demonstrate it.
When you first heard of Larry Sinclair and his allegations, did that surprise you at all that it came?
Not at all. I knew that, knowing what I know about Obama, that, when you're a homosexual and you're in the closet, you're constantly trying to feed that sex drive without being caught. And when you have a high visibility such as his, you're always dramatizing what you're doing, and you're bringing more people into your, I suppose, your web of sin. And now that he's become a presidential candidate, he's had to scrutinize himself more. But that sexual drive doesn't go away. So, no, I was not surprised to hear what Larry Sinclair had to say.
Not exactly an unknown issue that he is at least bisexual.
Everybody knew about Clinton's problems before while he was governor, and as he was running for president, everyone knew about them. It's just that, these people are able to manage the press. That's why I'm carefully guarding the things that I say or demonstrating my proof. They're able to manage the press in such a way and public opinion in such a way as to, even though these things are well known, they're able to squash it in such a way as to make the people who come out and make statements look foolish.
Right.
So I'm watching, and they already control the media. They control what people think. They control what we listen to, and now have this candidate. So I'm not surprised that this matter is suppressed the way it is. What I am surprised is that Larry Sinclair is still alive. That's what I'm surprised at.
That is something that Larry worries about quite a bit, too, his personal safety. He has received God only knows how many death threats. There certainly is a very powerful cabal interested in electing Barack Obama to the White House. These people certainly, obviously, have their hands on the majority, if not the overwhelming dominance of the American mass media, hence the oblivion status of the story. I think that Larry Sinclair would do very well to go to Washington, D.C. with proper protection to the National Press Club and call for a national press conference and make his statements and allegations right there. Would you, sir, be willing to appear at such a press conference, should there be one?
Yes, I would. Without hesitation, I would definitely appear.
All right. I think that's something the American people have a right to know.
On June 28, 2006, Senator Barack Obama gave a speech to the Call to Renewal Conference, where he explained why he finds it so difficult for America to use the Bible to help guide our public policy.
Which passages of Scripture should guide our public policy? Should we go with Leviticus, which suggests slavery is okay? Or we could go with Deuteronomy, which suggests stoning your child if he strays from the faith? Or should we just stick to the Sermon on the Mount, a passage that is so radical that it's doubtful that our own Defense Department would survive its application? Folks haven't been reading their Bible.
Senator Obama, after you so arrogantly mocked and ridiculed the books of Leviticus, Deuteronomy, and the Sermon on the Mount, taking those passages of the Bible so painfully out of context, you then condescendingly stated that, quote, folks haven't been reading their Bible, unquote, as if the American people don't know what's in there. The real question is, do you know what's in there, Senator? For instance, did you not know that most Christians and historians agree that the Sermon on the Mount contains the most spiritually inspiring words ever uttered by Jesus Christ or any other religious leader? And as far as your sarcastic remark regarding the Defense Department not being able to survive the Sermon on the Mount's application, I can assure you, Senator, that Christ would never advocate turning the other cheek to terrorists and America's enemies, as your smug laughter so clearly implied. And did you not know, Senator Obama, that the book of Deuteronomy, which you also arrogantly mock and ridicule, is what gave us the Ten Commandments? Folks, all those condescending remarks distorting our Judeo-Christian Bible did not come out of the mouth of Barack Obama's pastor, Jeremiah Wright. No, they came straight out of the mouth of Barack Obama.
Folks haven't been reading their Bible.
My Muslim faith, 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 my Muslim faith. My Muslim faith.
Verizon's slogan for years was the famous, "Can you hear me now?" With Apple's iPhone able to transmit video between Apple devices in real time with their FaceTime application, perhaps Verizon's next slogan will be, "Can you see me now?" But you may think twice the next time you use your iPhone. In a huge cache of top-secret documents released by NSA whistleblower Edward Snowden on December 30th, 2013, one document reveals that the NSA can remotely turn on the microphone and camera of your iPhone in order to spy on you, even while the iPhone appears to be off. Are you watching this video on your iPhone right now? Your face, along with what you're watching, may be beamed to NSA Central right now. But this is only one small part of the vast surveillance state that Barack Obama has put into place to spy on Americans. Snowden revealed 2 NSA programs, PRISM and X-Keyscore, that compile virtually everything that travels over wire, fiber optic cables, or satellite links, phone calls, emails, texts, Facebook posts, even web browsing, and Google searches. The years and years of emails that are in your inbox may be read by an NSA geek right now, and with a keystroke, he can delete everything that you have ever sent or received. Why exactly the NSA feels it needs to spy on law-abiding Americans is not clear. If anyone needs to be spied on, it is the corrupt government of Barack Hussein Obama. Or, when Hillary Clinton ran her pornographic-like State Department, the NSA should have turned their high-tech gadgets on her. But of course, that is not going to happen. Barack Obama is untouchable, and Hillary Clinton is the heir apparent to Barack Obama's totalitarian surveillance state, and the powers that be aren't going to let anything come between her and the presidency. And she's got a lot to hide. All the secret emails, criminal acts, cover-ups, and that sexual relationship with Huma Abedin that is whispered about in the dark corners of Washington. Hillary Clinton's State Department was a virtual pornographic and criminal enterprise. Besides the secretive relationship Clinton has with Anthony Weiner's wife and closet Muslim Brotherhood member Huma Abedin, there is a litany of pornographic peccadillos and criminal acts. Diplomatic security agents sexually attacked female guards. Clinton security agents routinely solicited prostitutes, and embassy staff were caught running a drug ring in Iraq. But the most disgusting aspect of Clinton's corrupt State Department was Ambassador to Belgium Howard Gutmann, who routinely ditched his security detail in Brussels and solicited prostitutes, including minors. The Inspector General investigating Gutmann charged him with pedophilia, sex with children. But all of this was swept under the rug by the corruptocrat Hillary Clinton. But Clinton, ostensibly out of government, is still pulling the levers of power. The State Department's former chief investigator, Richard Higbee, now turned whistleblower who uncovered much of Hillary Clinton's perfidy, is now suing Slick Willie's better half, and he's paying the price. It was revealed on December 30th, 2013, the same day the huge cache of NSA documents were released, that a hacker group, more than likely the NSA, stole, then deleted, an astounding 4 years' worth of Richard Higbee's emails. The emails included correspondence with other whistleblowers and included a treasure trove of documents revealing a State Department under Clinton that was corrupt to the core. Another State Department whistleblower, Aurelia Fednizen, didn't get her emails stolen. Instead, she received the shakedown treatment, a mob-like visit by State Department thugs who camped out in front of her house and harassed her children. But stealing emails and shakedown tactics was just one part of the attack against State Department whistleblowers. On June 29, 2013, in what is reminiscent of Nixon's plumbers, Richard Higbee and Aurelia Fednizen's lawyer's office was broken into, in which documents and computers were stolen, more than likely ordered by Hillary Clinton's minions. If you think Barack Obama is a corrupt president, you ain't seen nothing yet. Hillary Clinton will make Barack Obama look like a choir boy. And unlike Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton has been around the block a few times and has the keys to all the secret doors in Washington. Most notably, the door that leads to a massive electronic file on every single American. Be afraid, America. Be very afraid.
distinguished guests, and men and women of the finest military in the world. And most of all, Admiral Mullen, Deborah. Michael and I also want to acknowledge your son Jack, who's deployed today. All of you have performed extraordinary service to our country.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the comedian who lately has been censoring her own typically outrageous commentary recently officiated a same-sex wedding.
When a photographer pitched her a question, the response was, typical Rivers.
And do you think that the country will see the United States will see the first gay president or the first woman president?
We already have it with Obama, so let's just calm down.
Got it.
You know Michelle is a trans.
I'm sorry, she's a what?
A transgender. We all know.
Oh my gosh.
And just when you think she said it all, Joan Rivers goes and shocks us all over again.
Okay, so here she was promoting her new book when some PETA supporters asked her why she still wears fur, including fur on the cover of her book.
You're absolutely right.
And Rivers didn't seem too pleased with the question. Listen to this.
Oh, shut up. You don't know what the f*** you're talking about. Number one, all the fur I wear has been killed over the years, and those furs be lying in a cellar. They have gotten to go to the opera. So that's number one. Number two, if you're wearing... I totally agree with you. There are also other issues, but I do agree. Absolutely right. Peter's right. I also work very hard. I have 4 rescued animals.
Seems to be some discrepancies there.
Yeah, I think so.
Anyway, let's look at this next element because it continues to go on. Our colleague Frederica Whitfield got to sit down recently with Joan Rivers.
And she asked her about the criticism she's been getting over the furs.
You know, this whole interview is becoming a defensive interview.
No!
Are you wearing leather shoes?
Yes,
Shut up.
I'm talking...
You know what I mean? I don't want to hear. You're wearing fur. You're wearing leather shoes.
I'm not an activist, I'm saying
You're eating chicken.
Yeah.
You're eating meat. I don't want to hear this nonsense. Come to me with a paper belt, and I'll talk to you.
But you did hear it in some of those press conferences. There were people who were upset, and you're just saying,
no. You know, I'm going. I really am going, because all you have done is negative.
Oh, say, can you see?
This video will present irrefutable and scientific proof that will establish beyond any reasonable doubt that Michelle Obama is in fact a man who prefers to present himself and who prefers to dress up as a woman. This video will prove that the person commonly referred to as the First Lady of the United States may be the First Queen at best, but he most certainly is not a lady. Let's find out why. This video will examine the following. It will examine Michelle's male hands, male shoulders, male torso, male genitalia, and overall male proportions. It will also look at how a carefully designed wardrobe, a wide hairdo, a persistent facially distorting smile, and carefully selected press photos have all succeeded in suppressing the revelation of Michelle's undeniable male physical form. While this information is controversial and shocking to say the least, it is being shared because it is the truth. It is being presented so that people can stop living the lie that is being dished out by the U.S. government and the mainstream media. Many people are unfamiliar with the more subtle physical differences that can be found between men and women. While Michelle Obama works very hard to distort the more obvious differences, he fails miserably at hiding them all. Let's take a close look at some of the male traits that he has failed to conceal. We will begin by looking at the hands. The scientific community has known for a long time that a man's ring finger is typically longer than the man's index finger. Here are 2 clear pictures that illustrate the differences in ring finger proportions on male and female hands. Notice how the man's ring finger is visibly longer than his index finger. While it is not uncommon for a woman to have the ring finger and index finger at very similar lengths, it is almost unheard of for a woman to have a visibly longer ring finger. See for yourself by looking at both of your hands. Relax your hands. Put them flat on a table. Pull the fingers together and notice the length of your ring finger. Now compare it to the length of your index finger. Your hands will now testify against Michelle Obama every time you look at them. If we look at this X-ray of a man's hands, we can see how the bone structure of the ring finger is visibly longer than that of the index finger. If we look at an X-ray of a woman's hand, we can easily see that the tip of the ring finger appears to be slightly shorter than the index finger. In this photo of Barack and Michelle's right hands, even at a distance, Michelle's ring finger is noticeably longer than the index finger. In fact, the ring finger is so long that when we compare it with the one on the man next to him, it is easy to see that the male trait of prominent ring finger length is even more pronounced in Michelle. Here we see a person holding up their hand. By the ring finger length, it is safe to conclude that he is a man. Here we see someone whose ring finger length clearly shows that she was born a female. But in this photo, wait a minute, Houston, we have a problem. The ring finger is noticeably longer than the index finger, proving that Serena Williams, the famous tennis player, was in fact born a male. Both the shoulders and flamboyant behavior are quite telling as well. Here is a good photo of Michelle's hands. The ring fingers are both visibly longer than the index fingers. Once again, we have a clear view of the hands. It is undeniable. Those are the hands that emerged from the womb on a male child. Now that we have established that Michelle has the hands of a man, let's look at Michelle's shoulders. The shoulders are surrounded by bulging muscles that appear to be very masculine. Notice how the carefully tailored clothing hides the neck muscles. Let's find out why. Both the neck muscles and the bulging shoulders look like they belong on a man. In this photo, the hair and the clothing both serve to camouflage the neck muscles. Michelle's face may appear quite feminine to the undiscerning eye, but after taking a closer look, isn't it amazing what the very best makeup artists and hairstylists can do to any person who has enough money? And to help add to the illusion, Michelle often slouches forward. This is done to make the shoulders appear smaller, but the masculine shoulders remain. Wild hair and dangling earrings can pull the eye away from the shoulders, but once you have spotted them, they just don't seem to go away. To make matters worse, men have more prominent brow features than women. As you can see, Michelle's eyebrows are generally painted on in such a way that they wrap around the male skull bone that protrudes out at the eyebrows. Close-up images of the eyebrows reveal a tremendous effort at wrapping the paint all the way around this very prominent male facial feature. Once again, the painted eyebrows do not match the size of the brow bone. Now, what most people do not know about human anatomy is that the body is naturally proportioned based on the ratio between overall body height and the size of a person's head. In this illustration, you can see how perfectly proportioned a typical human body of each gender is. This illustration also reveals a description of how the shoulders are measured. On a woman's body, the shoulder width is typically equivalent of 2.5 times the width of her head. Here we have an example of a healthy woman. As you can clearly see, her shoulders are about 2.5 times the width of her head. A man's shoulders are typically the equivalent of 3 times the width of his head. In this illustration, it is easy to see that this person is in fact a man based on the width of his shoulders in relation to the width of his head. And here we have an image of an extremely athletic man whose gender is confirmed by the width of his shoulders in relation to the width of his head. Now, if we take an objective look at Michelle, we see that the shoulder width is not compatible with the shoulders of a woman in relation to the size of the head. The dress, the pearls, the fancy hairdo, and makeup can redirect the observer's attention away from the proportions, but all the illusions cannot make the physical reality that Michelle is a man go away. Now let's take a closer look at Michelle's body proportions. Notice in this illustration that the height of a typical healthy man is roughly 8 times the height of his head. The height of a typical healthy woman is roughly 7 times the height of her head. This illustration reveals that Michelle stands at 8 heads tall. At this point in human history, there is no amount of surgery that can change his body proportions. His overall height is exactly 8 times the height of his head, proving that Michelle cannot possibly be a woman. The jacket was carefully chosen to diminish the manly appearance of the shoulders. Notice how there is a wide gap at the waist to create an optical illusion that the hips are wider than the shoulders. Michelle is also wearing flat shoes. He does not tend to wear high heels because if he did, while standing at 5 feet 11 inches tall, he would tower over almost all of the women as well as most of the men who are standing nearby. Here we can see Michelle standing next to a woman. Notice how the woman's shoulders on the far left are no match for Michelle's man shoulders. There are many tricks of the eye going on in those dresses. Someone has added a few pounds of necklaces to downplay the bulging shoulder muscles. It is easy to see how Michelle arches his shoulders forward to help with the illusion just a little bit more. This illustration reveals how the hip and shoulder proportions are naturally different between men and women. While men's hips are smaller than their shoulders, a woman's proportions tend to be the opposite. I am not able to show you an image of Michelle at the beach. However, when Serena Williams appears on a beach walking next to an actual woman, it is quite easy to see the physical differences between the body structure of a man and a woman. Even when a man has breasts that are formed by hormone replacement therapy, the hip bones remain much narrower than the shoulders. It is interesting to note that Serena's thin upper body and heavier lower torso are almost identical to Michelle's. So how then is it possible for Michelle to pose next to a man and appear to have female body proportions? Simply by turning the shoulders away from the camera, the shoulders appear to be narrower. Notice the difference when the shoulders are square to the camera. In this photo, we can see Michelle turning the shoulders away from the camera, and then simply by bending the wrist while relaxing the biceps, the upper arms appear to be more feminine. But look at what happens when the shoulders are square to the camera and the man arms are plain to see. The wild hair and stacked up jewelry can only do so much to distract you from the uncomfortable truth. The biceps are fully flexed because they are now carefully concealed under a custom-tailored jacket with exaggerated shoulder pads that make the arms appear smaller. It is quite an effective illusion. But when Michelle is put next to a real woman, the male features simply jump out of the photo. In order to trick the eye into perceiving the illusion of wider hips, Michelle typically wears dresses that are tight above the upper waist, but then flare out at the hips. In this image, we can see why Michelle will most likely avoid a simple V-neck in the future. A square front view reveals the broad shoulders and the neck muscles, but the super wide hairstyle creates the illusion of smaller shoulders, and the stacked up jewelry steers the eye away from those massive neck muscles. But in this image, there is a convincing first impression that these two people are both women. And so how do they present the illusion that they are both female? It is really quite simple. The woman wears a loose shirt and tight pants, while Michelle wears a tight shirt and loose pants. Add a few feminine externals, and there you have your illusion. In this image, it is quite easy to see just how large Michelle's shoulders and neck muscles are, especially when compared with the ones Barack has hidden under his suit jacket with the padded and extended shoulders. The bulging muscles under the big hair were perhaps the inspiration for this image that has been circulating on the web. So apparently, I'm not the only person who knows that Michelle is a man, and a very strong man at that, I might add. You will not find many pictures like this one because when Michelle frowns, the fact that he is a man frowning becomes very plain to see. And when Michelle drops the charade, the feminine false externals drop like a lead balloon. My, what a very feminine and slender neck you have. The manly features often stand out like a sore thumb when the guard is let down and the photo is unexpected. Let's not forget the Adam's apple. What most people don't know is that the appearance of the Adam's apple can be diminished through surgery, but it cannot be fully removed. In this image, you can clearly see Michelle's Adam's apple. Once again, Michelle's Adam's apple is not too difficult to spot. The Adam's apple stands out in this earlier photo as well. Notice the bulging neck muscles and heavy man brows, even on the wedding day. Speaking of the wedding day, you must be wondering what happened to Michelle's male genitalia. There are certain undergarments that some people wear in order to hide their male genitalia. It is similar to a sports cup that men wear while playing contact sports. In this photo, you can see a surprising bulge that appears to be Michelle's special cup. This wardrobe malfunction was revealed by the wind that was blowing against him, revealing the contour of his form. But that's not the only wardrobe malfunction. In this picture, the lighting cast the most unfeminine shadows on Michelle's manhood. This photo begs the question, how could the audience not notice? In this earlier wedding photo, Michelle's body proportions are a close match to Barack's. Years of hormone replacement therapy may provide a touch of extra fat in certain areas, or a more feminine-looking skin tone, or change the voice a bit, but there is no amount of hormones or feminine gestures that will change the skeletal proportions of a man. Michelle's body structure cannot possibly be that of a woman. Even Barack's heavily padded shoulders and the silhouette of a feminine mirror cannot hide the fact that Michelle's shoulders are those of a man. Poofy dresses and big hair help to maintain the illusion of being a woman, but there are some things that simply cannot be hidden, like that protruding man finger. However, in this image, Michelle's man finger isn't the only issue. The biceps and triceps are disproportionately large, and while the dress pulls the eye downwards, it still can't shrink those shoulders. Even the children who accompany Barack and Michelle play a part in the illusion, because who would have suspected that the two girls might have been adopted? Perhaps someone should tell them that similar facial expressions cannot change the genetic evidence, but it sure is nice to see some truly feminine shoulders on the daughters. Have you figured it out yet? Are you ready for your reality check? Brace yourself. Here it is. The United States of America does not have a First Lady, but rather the United States of America has its very first queen, its first drag queen, that is. Michelle has the hands of a man. Michelle has the shoulders of a man. Michelle has the physical proportions of a man. Michelle has a male anatomy. Hormone replacement therapy and surgical treatments cannot change the fact that every cell in Michelle's body is stamped and sealed with male chromosomes. As a woman, I have absolutely no doubt in my mind as I proclaim it from the rooftops that Michelle Obama is most certainly not a lady. I am a real woman. I have gone through school and earned a degree in criminal justice. I have learned a lot about people and why they do the things they do. While studying for my degree, I took many classes on forensic psychology. I also studied the basics of forensics and investigative skills. Throughout my travels, I have had many encounters with transgenders and transsexuals, and so with all this background knowledge and experience, it is with great confidence that I now proclaim Michelle Obama has deceived the nations. I have absolutely no doubt that Michelle Obama is in fact a man. And now, a word from my husband.
As my wife and I were working on this video, we thought about all the American soldiers who are risking their lives overseas to fight illegal wars based on the whims of their commander-in-chief. How is it that so many people in the military are prepared to go to their death so that the president can feel safe and secure in his White House? As he cuddles up every night to his male friend, who prefers to dress up as a woman and deceive everyone from behind that big smile. Many people in previous generations have laid down their lives for a noble cause. But frankly, we are quite baffled at this current point in American history and at what has become of what once was a great nation. I am speaking as one who not only has a military background, but I am also a retired law enforcement officer. The first 7.5 years of my career were spent as a police officer in Trinidad, Colorado, a place that was well known as the sex change capital of the world. While I was on patrol there, it was not uncommon to encounter people who had traveled there to seek gender reassignment surgery. I can clearly see that Michelle is a man, and I hope that you can now tell the difference as well. Time will tell how the truths that have been revealed in this video will transform America. But one thing is for certain, like it or not, Michelle Obama is now out of the closet. The production of this video would have been impossible without the help of the two witnesses. If you enjoyed this video and are not afraid of learning more shocking truths about the current realities in which we are now all living, visit testimonyofthetwowitnesses.com, but you had better fasten your seatbelt, because hearing the truth is not always comfortable.
You, referring to a man, shall not lie with a male as with a woman. It is an abomination.
A woman shall not wear anything that pertains to a man, nor shall a man put on a woman's garment. For whoever does these things is an abomination to the Lord your God.
You wanted an abomination? You got it. But now a double woe has come to America. Behold your queen, the Queen of Sodom.
Behold your queen, the Queen of Sodom.
Behold your queen, the Queen of Sodom.
Oh, can you see?
Reset Earth here, guys, and I'm sure many of you know by now Joan Rivers died about a week ago. And right away, there was speculation, conspiracy theories, etc., that, that she was murdered. Primarily because she came out and said that Barack Obama was a homosexual and that Michelle Obama was a man. And to some of you out there, that might sound, well, so what? That's stupid. It's a joke. But no, she was dead serious, okay? And it's not stupid and it's not a joke. It's true. And I'll get into that a little further toward the end of this video. And when I first started examining some of the coincidences that surrounded her death, I gotta say, it was very suspicious. But I didn't touch it because, well, she's 81, right? I mean, people die when they're 81. Okay, I get it. Fine. Yeah, I wasn't gonna touch it. But now, I gotta say, it has become abundantly clear to me, and to many of you out there that watch this video, I'm sure, that this woman was murdered, okay? Breaking news here out of NewYorkDailyNews.com. Joan Rivers had surprise throat biopsy that cut off her air supply, source claims, okay? And this exclusive report goes into the fact that a routine surgical procedure that the late comedian was supposed to undergo turned deadly when a doctor who arrived at the clinic with the legendary comic's entourage performed an unplanned biopsy on her vocal cords, a medical source said, who was briefed on the case told the news. Such a procedure is not supposed to be performed outside of a hospital. And it was subsequently after this that her air supply was cut off and she went into a coma. Okay, this random doctor came out of nowhere, right? From her quote-unquote entourage. Now, as many of you out there might already know, a lot of these big-time celebrities have what we would call handlers. And they're basically middlemen between the higher-up power echelons of Hollywood and the music industry and the actual players themselves, the actual celebrities. Okay, and they sort of control them, manipulate them to do what the big boys want them to do, the elites, right? The Hollywood power structure. Okay? And it says further on in this article, Rivers' doctor, who identified himself as an ear, nose, and throat specialist, asked if he could use their instruments when the clinic's doctor noticed something, quote-unquote something, on Rivers' vocal cords. He asked, and they let him in, the source said. A huge no-no. I mean, any medical doctors out there listening, is this normal? I don't think so, okay? Just a random doctor coming in the middle of a surgery and saying, hey, let me perform a biopsy, which is a complex medical procedure? I mean, come on, no way! And of course, this is a little over a month after Joan Rivers came out and said, Obama is gay and Michelle is a tranny. And she was not joking, folks. A lot of people are saying, well, she's a comedian. She makes fun of people. Yes, that's true. That's true. But watch this footage of her saying this and pay very close attention to her demeanor.
Very well, because I don't charge.
And do you think that the United States will see the first gay president or the first woman
we already
president?
have it with Obama, so let's just calm down.
Got it.
You know Michelle is a
I'm sorry, she's a what?
A transgender. We all know.
Oh my gosh.
Oh gosh. It's okay.
There you go, okay? She was not kidding, folks. This was not a joke. She seemed a little irritated, like she was very matter-of-fact about it, like, come on, it's so obvious, and, folks, it is, okay? It is, all right? And for further examination into this proposition, I'll leave a link for my video that I made a few months back. And it's called Barack Obama is a Homosexual and Michelle Obama is a Man. And I mean it, okay? And I go over some of the scientific evidence that would suggest that this is a man or a transgendered person. And I go over some of the eyewitness testimony that Barack Obama is also a homosexual, which, logically would fit the description having a transgendered partner, right? And specifically in regards to Barack Obama being a homosexual, this testimony from a man named Larry Sinclair, gay man, homosexual man, he held a big press conference back in, I believe, 2008, alleging that he had sex with Barack Obama and watched him smoke crack. Okay? And this guy is dead serious. There's no reason he would come out and say this for nothing, okay? He's risking his reputation. He's making himself a target by doing that, okay? And he came out and said it, held a big press conference. It was covered thoroughly, and it corroborates with many other witnesses as well, such as Mia Marie Pope, who alleges that she knew Barack Obama back when they were teenagers, and that he was very flamboyant and, like, obviously homosexual. Like, he would act very, very, well, how should I say it? Queer, I mean, let's be honest here. Many gay folks, act this certain way, very feminine, flamboyant, etc. Nothing against homosexuals, by the way. I'm a libertarian, folks. But anyway, if you want to check out this information a little further, link in the description. Okay? This video right here that I made a few months ago. And in the description of this video, you'll find all the links you need, proving what I'm saying here. Okay? Irrefutable proof. The evidence is all there, and I know it's so hard to believe for some of you that the government can get away with a blatant lie like this out, hiding out in plain sight, but that's what they do. They hide in plain sight. And it works. Because the elites, the New World Order cabal, they believe that by hiding in plain sight, it gives them a moral high ground to treat you like trash, okay? To treat the people of this planet like a bunch of slaves, like a bunch of dumb idiots. Because look what they're doing right in plain sight. Look what they're doing. And nobody notices. Well, some of us do. And another interesting piece of information here is in regards to the numerology involved with this incident, Joan Rivers' death. And this article is out of International Business Times. Joan Rivers, Beyonce Illuminati rumors arise after comedian dies on singer's birthday. Yeah, it's more than that, though. Check this out. Some people believe Joan Rivers' death was an Illuminati sacrifice since she passed away Thursday, which also happened to be Beyonce's birthday. Now, Rivers was born in 1933 and died at age 81. Beyonce was born in 1981 and turned 33 on the day that Joan Rivers died. And of course, the number 33 representing Freemasonry and the Illuminati. Very popular number they use in all of their occult rituals, all right? And of course, Joan Rivers, a few weeks ago, made fun of her, Beyonce and Jay-Z as well, and Solange, Beyonce's sister, just weeks before her death. Or a day before she went into the coma. My bad. She went into the coma on August 28th, died September 4th, and she released this tweet on August 27th, the day before her surgery. So, wow. Very interesting coincidence here. I mean, come on. She was born in 1933 and died at age 81, while Beyonce was born in 81 and turned 33 on the day she died? I mean, what? And I'm sure, as many of you might already know, that Beyonce and Jay-Z are basically the king and queen of the Illuminati when it comes to the music industry, the entertainment industry. They're the king and queen of that sector of the control system, of the global New World Order control system, okay? I mean, they run shit. They run shit, folks. And not just on a psychological level, in terms of influence, but also in terms of finances, okay? Money. This guy, Jay-Z, Rockefeller, folks. Rockefeller. Conveniently named after one of the most sickening, disgusting controller entities on this planet. John D. Rockefeller and his kin, David Rockefeller, right? His descendants, right? The whole Rockefeller family. And Jay-Z, oh, conveniently named after all that stuff, okay? Throwing up the Illuminati hand signs. This guy has a net worth of hundreds of millions of dollars, okay? And let's not forget, Jay-Z and Beyonce are buddy-buddy with Obama and the First Lady, or shall I say First Man, Michelle or Michael. I mean, folks, this is not a secret, okay? As you can see here from this MTV News article, Jay-Z and President Obama, a bromance story, right? I mean, we got Beyonce and Jay-Z hanging out at the White House, referencing Obama in their songs, raising money for Obama's initiatives, performing at Obama's inaugural ball, singing for the first dance between Obama and his transgendered partner. I mean, the list is endless here, okay? I mean, look at all this. Dozens, all right? Dozens of pieces of evidence here suggesting that they're in cahoots at the very least, okay? They're buddy. And of course, this would fit the whole narrative I'm presenting here, suggesting that Joan Rivers was killed for calling out Obama and Michelle. And of course, keep in mind the coincidences I just went over regarding Beyonce. And it fits up perfectly, folks. How much more obvious could you get? I mean, come on. So I gotta say, after all this, seeing all these coincidences, all this evidence, this woman was killed. Legendary comedian Joan Rivers was killed. And I don't think it's a coincidence either. I don't think it's a Carl Jung phenomenon that they also killed her by giving her a biopsy on her throat, which led to the air supply being cut off and her going in a coma. So it was a throat situation going on, and that's how they killed her, right? And where's your voice? Where's your throat chakra? What's your throat chakra do? What's it for? Communication, folks. Speaking. She spoke too far. She went too far. She was punished for what she said. And this symbolism, I mean, come on, it's all there, folks. These people love this stuff. These Illuminati folks. There's power in it. That's why you see these coincidences and the things they do. Sure, some of it could be synchronicity, but look, folks. All I know is this woman. Sure, she was vain. Sure, she was worldly and superficial, but I think she had some guts. Her whole career, she had guts, and she took it a little too far, and they obviously killed her for it. So in many ways, she was sort of a Braveheart. So, rest in peace, Joan Rivers. And I'm just going to continue exposing these folks, guys. I don't know what else to do. So, let me know what y'all think. If you haven't yet, subscribe to my channel. Press Reset Earth. And I'm out, guys. It's been real. As always, stay up, stay real, and eyes open. Peace out.
Do you ever get the feeling you're being tricked, manipulated, fooled? We're all being manipulated at all times, in all kinds of ways. It's hard to imagine the level of manipulation that's taking place. It just leaves more questions, doesn't it? It's deception. It's the new normal. There are so many unseen mysteries and strange secrets being revealed. I believe that we are all being imprinted with this idea of a new sexuality, of breaking the bonds of our God-given sexualities, of exploring all the different possibilities. Unless you've been living under a rock for the last 10 years, then you're aware of the obvious, quote, gay agenda that's taking place in our world right now. This is not an attack on all gay people, but it is an attack on the political agenda. Shiloh wears ties and calls herself John, and now Maddox is playing with manicure kits. Why are Angelina Jolie's children acting like members of the opposite sex? Well, we know why. Angelina and Brad are two of the biggest movie stars in the world. They get plenty of attention 24/7. They are also in the Luciferian Hollywood system. They have both signed their contracts, so to speak. With all the attention they garner, and with as celebrity obsessed as so many millions of people are, these people program you. They're programming you with the new Luciferian ideals. So I recently stumbled across a series of commercials with Chuck Liddell, and these commercials are for Duralast brakes. Now, Chuck Liddell is considered one of the toughest men in the world. He's an ex-Ultimate Fighting Championship champ for many years. The guy's pretty amazing. But I want to show you an example of how they are subtly indoctrinating us into this gay agenda, even in little commercials like this. So I noticed this commercial on television the other day, and there was a quick shot, just like 1 second, of showing him hitting the gas in that truck behind him that's hanging up there in the air. And just in that 1 second shot, you could see that his toenails were all painted. They were painted green. So I went online and tried to find that same commercial, and I found the commercial, but they've taken that little scene out. So I did a little more digging, and I found something else. Check this out. Here's Chuck in another one of the Duralast commercials, where again he's just doing all this manly man type stuff, like just totally unstoppable tornado of a dude, destroying everything in his path. But I actually captured the toenails in this, so check this out. This was just like a maybe second and a half shot. And here's that second or so shot of his toenails being painted. And like I said, I've seen this in some of the other commercials as well. And it's just a second, so you got to think about that in terms of production and making commercials. You know, why is it important to have that one single quick little shot in there? I mean, the guy gets in a truck, we know he's going to hit the gas. Okay, we understand that. They're doing this so you can see the toenails. It's all about the toenails. This is one of those subtle ways that this gay agenda is slowly indoctrinating. It's no accident that they take somebody considered one of the toughest men in the world and put him in a commercial like that. But the whole idea really is to destroy the masculine, while at the same time exalting the feminine. Now this has all been perverted and distorted. I get into some of this in some of my other videos on goddess worship. You've probably seen a lot of this goddess worship theme coming up in our culture and media, music videos, you name it. It's all over the place. It is being used to subjugate the men. It all started with a picture and a video, something I'd seen not long ago. A lot of times in these kind of conspiracy realms, a lot of us find ourselves in different corners of YouTube. It's always exciting when there's kind of a new story that comes around. Well, this was one of them. It was the whole, is Michelle Obama really a man story? I really don't know who started the research on this. I don't know who launched this whole thing out there, but it kind of blew up overnight. Next thing I know, all kinds of people are making videos on this subject and raising the question, is Michelle Obama, in fact, a man? I know, it all seems so crazy. Well, that's why I really didn't look into it too much at first. I just kind of put it to the side and I thought it was interesting. But then, something happened. Recently. Joan Rivers is a comedian that many have called the queen of tasteless jokes. She was edgy and rubbing people wrong years before a lot of the people that are out there now. Just a few days ago, she had something interesting to say to some reporters on the street. I want to play it out for you. Listen for yourself.
Mr. Rivers, how are you? You made a ton of news officiating the wedding in New York yesterday. Is this like a new cottage career move for you?
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
And I should do very well because I don't charge.
And do you think that the country will see the United States will see the first gay president or the first woman president?
We already have it with Obama, so let's just calm down.
Got it.
You know Michelle is a trans.
I'm sorry, she's a what?
A transgender. We all know.
Oh my gosh.
Oh gosh. It's okay. She does the...
So is it all true? I don't know. But I personally wouldn't be surprised by anything to do with Obama and this administration. I mean, we're talking about a guy that has actually quoted Saul Alinsky. Saul Alinsky wrote the book Rules for Radicals. You could also call this the Devil's Playbook to destroy your enemies. But as you can see right here, he actually dedicated it to Lucifer. The whole thing at this point is just a television production for us. Because behind the scenes, there are many mysteries surrounding the Obamas. Hey, thanks for watching.